Hey everybody, this is E.Campbell. I appreciate you guys coming out. Uh, really appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. So we're gonna talk a bit this time, man. Just trying to get used to it for the first couple of times. But yeah, man, gonna talk about the money and creativity in the creative industry, man. It's really one of these things, and you guys could comment. I'm trying to sit here and see these comments. Yeah, so it's one of these things where like the industry, man, in general is kind of like not getting the respect it deserves as a creative, a lot of things is like because a lot of creatives are like indispensable at a certain point, and it's kind of sad actually, man. Like being creative in this industry, you don't feel like you're valued or you're as valued as what you could possibly be. And it's one of those things where it's sad because as a creative, you're not really given the respect you're deserving of. A lot of people are deserving of. It's like one of these things where you're not really being respected as a creative and as a person in this industry, man. Like, it's like one of these things where I grew up doing art, and you're expected to just deliver. And you're not really expected to be the kind of person who is to be respected or who is to be loved, or as far as an artist, you got to kind of like work up in the industry and find good matches in this industry, right? Find good matches, find a good match in the industry so you can like get somebody who does respect you in this industry. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things, man. At the end of the day, I come from a situation where I worked in a multimedia company starting out as an intern, learning the ropes. And it's hard, man, because like no one gives you a roadmap in this industry on how to create and how to be a creative and how to be a person who creates work here. Who is paid respectfully. Like it took me years and years and years, and like blessing, to sit here and be in the industry now where I could sit here and make pretty decent money. But it takes time to get there. Big thing that helped me was a mentorship, right? So it's having a mentorship and having people who help me out. But being creative, like coming from college, it's really hard nowadays. It's one of those things where it's like super, super hard to be a creative in the industry and to just get that respect. You know, uh, and another thing, and the big thing is about the money in the industry, man. Like, it's taboo for a lot of creatives, especially when you're starting out, to sit here and talk about money in the industry because a lot of creatives just don't like the money. Now when I say don't like the money, I don't mean they don't like making money. They sure, definitely like making money, but it's like a taboo subject to even talk about money as a creative. Like you're supposed to do it for the quote unquote passion of the industry, the passion of the business. It's one of those things where like, yeah, I mean, you're supposed to be passionate, man. There's no doubt about that. You're definitely supposed to be passionate about the industry and passionate about doing your job and passionate about being an artist. Yeah, you're supposed to be passionate. Yes, that's a given. But it goes beyond that, because like, yeah, it's a given that you should be passionate, like you should have some kind of passion for it. There's no doubt about it. But to have a passion for it and to work virtually for free are two different things. Like no one should really be working for free in this industry. And we should be like working towards being in an industry that cares about us as artists. So, let me get down to this drawing. So like we shouldn't make it taboo to talk about money and how to raise money, how to make funding, right? This should not be a taboo subject. If I had to be honest, like it shouldn't be taboo at all to want to make money and to do a decent job and to be paid fairly. It shouldn't be taboo to talk about how to get into a business end of that and to really kind of take, advantage of it. Like we should definitely as creatives, really sit here and not be shy about making money or be shy about, trying to make passive income or talking about this stuff. We should really talk about it, and we should really sit here, take ownership of ourselves as artists. We really should, man. Like, this should not be an industry where we're sitting here and not sitting here and enjoying this thing, right? We should really sit here and appreciate and smell the roses and love being in the creative industry. And not only love it, but like try to make a living out of it and actually talk about the business end of it. Like one of my favorite creators, one of my favorite like artists, one of the inspirers for me as an adult, you know, would be Henrik Fisker. He's a designer, he's a car designer, but like he's still creative. He runs an entire company. He's making these cars, soon to be making these cars in November, around October or so. Probably November, definitely. And like he cares about the creative aspect of it, as he should, because you should care about that kind of stuff. But he had to hire a bunch of people who knew the business end of it, but he still has that business mindset. So I mean, that's kind of how this industry works, is that unless you have a business mindset, you don't have to have an all the way business mindset, man. You really don't. You don't really have to have that all the way business mindset on it. Like, you should still kind of retain some of that creative energy. You should really do that. But you should kind of keep in mind the business end of it. Even if you just have a mindset and you're just terrible at the business, but you kind of want to learn, you should still have that mindset of how you're going to make cash. Despite the fact that you don't want that to be the main thing, it's kind of a hard balance to make, man. Like, it really is a hard balance to have, man. Like, you gotta like make cash, but at the same time, you don't want to be kind of robotic. It's kind of hard to get out of that mindset. It really is like a difficult task to sit here and have that mindset. And it's so, so difficult to do that, right? You gotta keep creative at the same time, and you gotta sit here and do all this creative stuff, right? But yet you want to have the enthusiasm and have the attitude to be successful in the industry. It really comes down to just really wanting it. But it's difficult, man. It really is. It really is challenging. You can't still be business minded. But it's worth it, man. You get home from work and you're trying to do these comics and you get burnt out because you just don't know how to go about it. You get burnt out because you just want to do it right and do a good job at doing it. And you just don't know what direction to go in sometimes, man. Like, I had that happen to me a whole bunch. It's like you really want to just do a good job at being creative in the industry. And like these animators, especially, man, get it rough, because these guys work so hard on these animations, man. That's what got me scared of like going into animation myself. that it's so hard to do animation, man. Like it's so hard. Like you're doing thousands and thousands on top of thousands of drawings, and then you might not get paid decently for it. Like Netflix does all these kind of crazy things where they have like these artists do all this crazy stuff. Like sometimes they're working on pilots and the pilot might not get picked up. You don't have solid work sometimes, man. Like it's not a guaranteed industry like working. Like sometimes you just don't get solid work. Sometimes you just don't get the work you need. You're not guaranteed a spot. You're not like gonna be guaranteed like employment. You know, sometimes you don't get that guarantee, man, and it's really vital. You know, comic books especially, man. Like it's terrible. It's so awful. Because like in the industry, sometimes you like get paid peanuts. Like there's a story. I think a lot of you guys know about it. This DC artist got paid barely anything, and she didn't even know that they were gonna use like her model sheet she drew, which is like a reference to the characters and like how they're designed. They didn't know that she was going to use, you know, she didn't know that they were going to use her model sheet as the cover of a book, and she didn't like give 110% on it. Because again, like you're being paid peanuts, like so you're trying to get things out as quick as possible. Like you're not getting paid enough money to make a living wage in this industry. That's why you gotta take like supplemental jobs on top of stuff, man. So it's like it's a really crazy industry to be in. That's why I say it's like super important to have a business mindset with some of this stuff. You barely get paid anything, man. Like they'll throw you out real quick in a hurry. It's no problem, no issues. Like they're not even thinking about you, man, half the time. Like I had that experience with like not anybody I work with now, because I mean you know, I worked my way into being like somebody who I feel like my work is being valued. So that was the main thing about, my career for a while too. It's like for a while there, like in my early career, like I really didn't feel like I was valued as a creator, you know? I really didn't feel like I was valued at all. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You just don't feel like you're valued, so you just, you get burnt out sometimes. And sometimes people just don't give 110%. It's understandable, man, because like if you're gonna feel burnt out, you're not gonna want to give 110% of the time. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Like you're not gonna want to give your entire energy to something that you just don't feel like you're gonna get the love and respect back from it, right? And I just feel like the industry needs to improve, man. Like these big, huge companies, Warner Brother, DC, like it's like same company. It's like Marvel, all these companies, especially. Don't get me wrong. Like if somebody knocked on the door from these companies, like for the sake of a resume, I would love to work for those companies. But like I'm just knowing like that's just a resume builder, right? With all due respect to these huge companies, man. Like all due respect. These big, huge companies. With all due respect, man. Like they don't treat their workers too good. And we can say union this, union that. I mean, it's super important. The unions are definitely a big, huge thing that helps these guys out. Definitely. But it comes down to like you're not given a solid career. Like a lot of these guys are freelancers and contractors. And they're working for a big, huge corporation that doesn't really care about them. They're like a cog in a wheel. I just think that the whole cog in a wheel thing in this creative industry should just be dead. We should not be cogs in a wheel at this point. Like, I'm tired of that stuff. Like, it's like these guys. and animation especially get the worst of it, man, because they work for these big, huge corporations on temporary projects, and they have to move to the next job. It's not like secure industry to be in. To be honest, I just think it needs to change, man. To be honest, to be frank with you, man, it needs to change, man. Like we need to get out of that mode of like being dispensable. We got to figure a strategy out, a game plan, like some kind of like industry wide thing. I just really feel like that's the reality of it, man. And I'm stubborn because I really want that to be a thing that happens, man. Like we have to, as creatives, work together, like regardless of the freaking politics, too, man. Like regardless of all that crap. Because I can tell you one thing: these companies don't care about your politics, really. Like as long they care about one thing and one thing only: the party of money. They care about money and cash and profit. And that's why we got to be business minded as artists, because we're not. These huge corporations are. Like none of these companies really care. They care about profit. So we got to have. I think that's a good thing about Nintendo is that at the very least, there's people in leadership that actually care about this kind of stuff, right? So like Shigeru Miyamoto and all these guys at Nintendo, they actually give a crap about it, right? They actually care about it, right? That's what it comes down to, man. Like they actually care. Like there's actual effort put into a lot of this stuff, from Nintendo. Like they're an artist focused company. You could definitely tell, you know. Image Comics and Todd McFarlane is another thing. Like these guys at Image, you can create your own company and be your own boss, but like it requires a degree of responsibility on the artist's end or creative's end. You can't just walk in there and think you're gonna get paid money. You gotta like actually sit here and get a team together and worry about the business end of it. If there's like it'd be cool if there were like a way to get artists to care about not care about it because like you're gonna have to either way. You don't really have a choice in the matter. But it's like it'd be cool if there was a focus on or some kind of like area where like artists learned about the business end of it. I think we got to go forward with that mindset of these artists really having to care about business and the business end of it. Like it's super important. It may seem like boring stuff. You can say it's boring all you want, but you're gonna have to care about it one way or the other. You can avoid it all you want, but business and art is very important. Like if you don't care about it, then a big corporation is gonna definitely care about it, and they're not gonna have your best interests at heart. You could have a union, but like that's only gonna go so far. Like you gotta have these artists have some kind of like stake. You gotta treat them like human beings that want to have families and careers and like uh houses and cars and like a life. They want a life. So too many stories of artists being antisocial, going to their little bubble, and it's a sad thing, man, because I think we got to get out of that bubble. It's time to pop the bubble, man. And it's hard because like we live in our own worlds as artists. Like I live in my head sometimes, and I have to remind myself that there's a whole world out there. I felt like, and there's a part of my life where I fell into like the mode of like not even thinking about it. Like sometimes like I'll like sit here and get super mechanical and get way too into the business, and that hurts too because you're way too into the business and like you're not thinking about art when you get too far into the business end of it. So like there does need to be a balance. There's times where I get burnt out. Like I had to take like a breather. I had to take a break, in fact, man, because like it was like
You get so much into the business end of it, man, that you get burnt out real easy. Like no problem. Like you get burnt out. You get so burnt out in this stuff, man. You get so burnt out on it. Like it's so hard to do this stuff. And combine it with like, you gotta make a living and you gotta have a job on top of it because the art's not gonna make a living. You gotta kind of hustle with that. It's a big hustle, man. People say, "Oh, well, you're being a shill," whatever the terminology is. It doesn't matter, man. Like people are trying to make money and live in the industry. For you to sit here and say somebody's being a shill, like, all right, then you figure it out, because you gotta sell your work, bro. Like this is not a game. Like people have daytime jobs and are trying to survive in this thing. Like you gotta have some kind of competency or some kind of pride and take it seriously. Like this is not a game. Like if you sit here and you work for a big corporation, these guys are not going to go out of their way to help you out. You got to keep in mind that they're going to do their own thing. So you got to team up with artists and have the pride to do that and get hungry and determined and want to do it because it is very valuable stuff. I think the way we could fix it, like I think we should just collaborate, man. We should get into like conversations and talks and talk to each other on this stuff. We should really do that. We have to create communities on this stuff too, man. Like I've been searching around for like people to work with, and just not even you don't have to work with them, just like talk to other artists, kind of figure this stuff out. Like get together with other people who create stuff. Like seriously, like get together with other people who create stuff and talk to them and have a conversation with these guys. Like seriously, like 110%. To sit here and not do that is gonna be painful. Like it's divide and conquer at a certain point. Like some people just love to sit here and see artists not know what they're doing. So a lot of these guys make money off of this us. A lot of these guys make money off of us. I think we gotta collaborate. I think that's a big huge thing. I think we gotta stop getting blindsided with like political divide stuff and being politically, you know, in an echo chamber. Just like we're all people, man. We're all creatives, and we want to sit here and see this thing work. By far, like I just think we gotta collaborate, man. Like just grow a thick skin and realize that everybody's not gonna agree with you politically, and that's like a distraction, man. Like we're divided politically, and it's like you as an artist get screwed over either way. Like they don't care if you vote a certain way; they just care that you work, you did your job, right? And they care about you sitting here and just being a cog in a wheel. They don't really care about you as an individual, really. Like if you're talking about corporate level stuff, like you're not talking about just the creative director. Like no, we're talking about like corporate people in an office somewhere who don't do art. They care about you just doing the art and getting the stuff done. By far, by far, like just by far, like without a doubt, they care about you just doing the work. By far, man. That's why I say it's so important for us to learn this stuff. I'm gonna beat that drum until it's done. Like we gotta sit here and care about the business end of it. These dudes are gonna care more about it than us, and they're the ones writing the checks. No, that's what it is. That's what I say here to say. So I just really do think we just gotta take mind of everything. Just be mindful, man. Really. If you're supporting artists, support some independent guy. And this is my thing, man. I just really don't put too much effort into like thinking about, oh, well, this guy voted the same way as me, therefore he's a better fit for the company. It's like, no, I mean, there's gonna be like, of course, like company culture stuff. So if you work for a certain company, they're gonna have certain culture. But I mean, we should just really get together on stuff. Really should. There's distractions that's being divided and not talking about this shit. And it's like, we should own the right to our work too. Really. These guys owning the stuff is, I don't think it's wise. We're a lot more powerful helping each other out by far. By far. By far, man. Get yourself out there, yo. So much effort. By far, man. By far, man. A lot of shit we gotta do as creators, man. By far. I just want a diverse industry, really, me personally. And, I think we got to take leadership of this stuff, man. Like, we're just solos, Han Solos out there. We're just Han Solos. That's why I call us, man. We're just Han Solos out there going solo, doing our own thing, not realizing that, it would benefit us to work together on a lot of stuff. It would benefit us hugely. I think that's why it's so freaking important. And I'm stubborn too, man. So it's like, I'm stubborn within reason though. So like I'll change and evolve, but like the goal is still the same. Like we gotta sit here and think about how the future is gonna be for us as creators. I'm really amped to start creating. I'm creating right now. You can see me inking this stuff. It's like I'm really amped for the future, man. Like I just want to sit here and see us thrive as creators. It's gonna be really awesome, man. You just have to have the attitude of like wanting each other to prop up and succeed by far. I'll say that without a shadow of a doubt. Have a lot of love for us as creatives, man. I think we got to move forward too, like really practically. How do we move forward? Well, we just got to move forward by like, as I said, communication and talking to each other. Like sometimes you feel like you're in the abyss, like you're in an abyss. Like when I'm inking, for example, this stuff. You're usually I'm here and it's the same vibe. I'm listening to music. I'm listening to this creative stuff. I'm sitting here and listening to these songs. I'm inking, and sometimes we're so busy focusing on inking and doing our jobs and getting lost in our art that we don't sit here and take time to kind of see how everybody's doing, man. Like I'm freaking guilty of that so bad. Like I get so far into the art that like I get lost in the sauce, man. It's so easy to get lost in stuff. Get lost in the world of that you're inking and being creative in, man. Just it gets so difficult by far. It's such a challenge, man. It really, really is. It's such a huge challenge. It's such a huge challenge. Like just to communicate. Like it's like I get to a point sometimes where like I'll like tunnel vision. Like like when you get into creative mode, like you don't want to talk, you don't want to sit here and communicate with people. Like you get distracted. Like you see right here, like usually I'm inking right now, like it takes focus to do this kind of stuff. So like I'll ink away. But for me especially, like it's one of those things where you get so sidetracked on stuff. Like by far, like it is the easiest possible to get distracted with a lot of this stuff right here, man. Like I'll get distracted so easy, man. No jokes. You know. And doing this art stuff, you get into the zone. It's like a lot of artists call it the zone, man. So no doubt, I'll zone out. I'll zone out. Yeah, I would definitely zone out. And I have been, man. I have zoned out. I've been caught zoning out a whole bunch of times. I mean, that's just what it is from a creative aspect. Yeah, it takes a lot. As I get better at the streaming stuff, there's a lot of stuff to do with this. I ain't gonna go too far into it because I don't talk about it. I just want to get it done. But yeah, man. Long story short, there's a lot we gotta do as far as creatives, man. Like, and dude, like, take notes of like people who are actually doing this shit that are like people say, oh well, they're shilling. It's like, dude, look at what they're doing, right? Like, literally, just look at what they're doing. Like, stop with this like talk of, oh well, they're shilling. Like, dude, take some time, take a knee, stay humble. Like, just realize that they're doing something. Like, a lot of people sit here and can't even do basic stuff, right? So like you say they're shilling and there's like a lot of artists right now starving. So yeah, I don't take that seriously. That's a joke to me. Oh, well, they're shilling. Dude, come on, get off of it. Like unless you're doing something better, like I don't think there's room to discuss it. You should be taking creative notes from these guys. Seriously, like do like try to see why they're successful and kind of backwards engineer it and focus on positive vibes because no one wants to hear negative crap all the time, man. Let's take notes, man. You can say they're shilling all they want, but like unless you're gonna sit here and change the industry or change how people are getting paid or like do anything besides sitting here and saying X, Y, and Z and whining about it 20 times. Like whoever's making money, you gotta sit here and see what they're doing. Like just any creative that's making money, regardless of like how they vote. Like it doesn't matter. Like you got to get off the high horse. Like it's time to get serious here. Like this is like life, or this is like people's lives. So yeah, I just want to sit here and say that that's my 2 cents, and I'll get back to you guys. Give me a sec.